Imagine a book written in a language so mysterious, for 600 years, nobody has been able to uncover its message. The letters twist and curl like they belong to another world, flowing in patterns that defy every known script. Its words seem almost alive, even alien or otherworldly. It hints at secrets that we're not meant to understand. Is it a code from another civilization? Is it a forgotten language, or something even stranger? Why does this strange, indecipherable text continue to captivate and haunt everyone who tries to unlock its secrets? This isn't just a story about a book, it's about humanity's obsession with the unknowable. Where did this manuscript come from, and what could it be possibly trying to tell us? This is something you're not going to want to miss out on, so let's get into it. Now, the Voynich Manuscript is a strange and singular artifact, a small book, barely larger than a paperback novel, and it only has 240 pages. It's made of vellum, which is crafted from animal skin. Its age shows its weathered and yellowed pages, but its content remains just as vivid as the day they were inked. The text flows from left to right, written in a script entirely unlike anything found on Earth. Cryptographers have studied it for centuries, but nobody's even deciphered a single word. The manuscript isn't just a text. It's also filled with bizarre and ornate illustrations. There are plants that don't exist, there's astronomical diagrams that depict stars and celestial patterns that also defy explanation. Stranger yet are the images of women attached to tubes, laying in green pools and connected to some kind of weird device. It's like they were part of some forgotten medical ritual or alchemical practice. Every page raises more questions than answers. The Voynich Manuscript isn't just a historical curiosity. It's a puzzle that continues to taunt us to this day. It's daring us to decipher its secrets, and as we'll see, the obsession often takes a heavy toll on anyone that tries. It's almost as hard as deciphering the YouTube algorithm. Clearly, I haven't figured it out, but with your help, maybe I will someday. If you're able to share this video with somebody that you know, it really helps the channel. If you like what you're hearing, give us a like, maybe even subscribe. And if we haven't earned it, maybe we'll get it on one of the other videos if you check out the channel. Anyhow, I won't waste your time, I'm going to move on. The little bit that we do know of the Voynich Manuscript history adds to its mystique. The manuscript was rediscovered in 1912 by a Polish bookseller, Wilfred Voynich, who was captivated by its mystery. But it didn't originate with him. Older records suggest that it was once owned by Emperor Rudolf II of the Holy Roman Empire, a man fascinated with alchemy and the occult. Now, as I mentioned, he came across this thing and he ended up paying 600 gold ducats, which is a staggering amount equal to the cost of a modest castle at the time. He believed it to be the work of Roger Bacon, a medieval English friar and scholar known for his groundbreaking work in science and mysticism. But Rudolf's acquisition was part of his larger obsession with alchemy and the occult. Yet after his death, the manuscript seems to disappear from documented history, reappearing sporadically in incomplete records. People who possessed it during this gap and why it remained hidden are questions that continue to baffle historians. Now, moving forward in time to the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, one of her advisors, John Dee, is said to have taken possession of the book. And Dee's deep involvement in alchemical studies and angelic communication makes him a compelling candidate for its possession. Adding to the intrigue is Edward Kelly, Dee's assistant, who is infamous for fabricating alchemical miracles. Now, some people would theorize that Kelly may have created or forged the manuscript as a ruse to sell to wealthy patrons, like Emperor Rudolf. While there's no direct evidence of this, the possible connection does add a layer of mystery to its journey. The manuscript would disappear again during the end of the 1500s, early 1600s, and wouldn't reappear again until 1912. And the rediscovery of the Voynich Manuscript happens at an Italian monastery, discovered by a Polish bookseller for whom it's named after, Wilfred Voynich. Now, Voynich immediately recognizes its uniqueness and believes it held hidden knowledge capable of reshaping medieval studies. He works tirelessly to decipher its contents, consulting experts and promoting the manuscript as a lost treasure of human history. But even Voynich's efforts couldn't solve this mystery. Despite every attempt Voynich would make during his life, he could never solve this manuscript. And going into more modern times, the carbon dating of the manuscript does show that this thing was created early in the 15th century, proving that Voynich himself couldn't have been some mastermind of a hoax that pulled this off, because during the time that he possessed this book, there was a lot of accusations around forgery. But still, many would wonder how an artifact of such complexity and ambiguity existed at all, and how it's remained hidden on and off over hundreds of years. It just didn't make a lot of sense. And throughout the journey, the Voynich Manuscript seems to almost act as a silent observer, untouched for centuries, yet somehow driving the obsession of powerful people who seem to cross its path. Its owners and scholars all share a common trait: an insatiable desire to unlock its secrets, no matter the cost. The manuscript's physical movement tells one story, but its ability to ignite obsession tells another. And as we move forward, we're going to explore some of the theories that have emerged, each attempting to explain this mysterious artifact and what it could be trying to tell us. Now, one of the more grounded theories suggests that the Voynich Manuscript is a medieval textbook of medical nature. It's specifically focused on women's health. The strange plants could represent herbal remedies, while the women bathing in green pools and connected to tubes might depict treatments or symbolic representations of the body's internal workings, or at least their understanding of it at the time. We're talking about a time when people thought that our body's functions were controlled by things like black bile and the humors. Now, supporters of this theory point to the 15th century European tradition of producing herbals, which were manuals detailing medicinal uses of plants. But here's the catch: not a single plant in the manuscript matches any known species on this planet. If it was meant to be a guide, why rely on plants that don't exist? Could the creator have intentionally obscured real-world knowledge, or were they depicting something else entirely? Perhaps it was meant to be secretive. Voynich Manuscript also aligns with esoteric traditions of alchemy and the occult, which flourished during the time of its creation. Its diagrams of celestial bodies and strange mechanisms echo the kind of mystic symbols found in alchemical texts. Alchemy wasn't just about turning lead into gold. It was a philosophical and spiritual pursuit. The manuscript's cryptic language and bizarre illustrations could have been an attempt to encode knowledge intended only for the initiated, protecting its secrets from unworthy eyes. This theory ties back to figures like Emperor Rudolf II, who purchased the manuscript and was famously obsessed with the occult. Could the manuscript have been created to cater to the desires of the wealthy patrons like Rudolf, blending mysticism and pseudoscience into a tantalizing package? I don't see how this is completely out of the realm of possibility. If you look at the history of the Knights Templar or the Masons and things like that, having esoteric texts or hidden meanings behind things is a very common way to keep secrets. Now, of course, like a lot of people believe, this could all be one giant hoax. A hoax that was pulled by someone hundreds of years ago, and nobody's going to have a clue for the rest of human history. It was never meant to convey any meaningful knowledge. It was meant to troll people of the time and possibly people of the future. Some others suggest that it was just a hoax designed to dupe wealthy buyers. One popular suspect is Roger Bacon, the 13th century scholar and polymath whose name is linked to this document throughout history. Then there's also the possibility that Wilfred Voynich himself fabricates this. He's a bookseller, right? He stands to gain from any profit and reputation that this manuscript is going to create. While carbon dating it does disprove that he likely created this book, it doesn't completely disprove the fact that he could have altered it or added things to make it more mysterious. And that could have happened multiple times over the course of history, and we're never going to know. But there's one thing that the carbon dating did confirm. This thing is definitely from the 15th century, so it's hundreds of years old. But if this manuscript is a hoax, it is an extraordinary one, especially considering that it had to be done hundreds of years ago. The text does follow consistent rules, suggesting it was written following a pattern of intent, and whether or not the creator was trying to hoax either people locally or the entire human race, its creator would have had to have a deep understanding of alchemy, language, and cryptography. So this person would have had to be nothing short of a genius, especially 600 years ago. So whether or not it's a hoax is hard to say, but it almost seems for it to actually be true as a hoax, it's as unlikely as some of the other more extraordinary theories, or should I say extraordinary. And one of the theories is that maybe this book itself has extraterrestrial or futuristic origins. Now, Maybe extraterrestrials landed on Earth. They were encoding our knowledge in a way that no human could possibly understand. Maybe they were studying this and left it behind. Or perhaps this is a book that came from another timeline or a future person who time traveled back in time, leaving the book for humans to discover and basically not understand what it is. The same way that if you sent a new Tesla vehicle back in time to a caveman, they're going to look at it going, what the fuck is this? As fun as the otherworldly theories are to consider, there's absolutely no proof of it other than it's something we don't understand. The thing, though, that kind of works against this is that, firstly, they were able to carbon date it, and it looks like it was made from materials from Earth, so you never know. It could be some kind of study guide aliens were using at the time. In my heart, I don't actually believe that to be the case, but I sure like to think about it. Anyhow, we'll move on. But because none of these theories, as far as they go beyond a theory, none of them have the evidence to back up or prove one way or the other, whether it's a hoax, whether this was created as some kind of secret alchemy guide that's attached to the cult. None of it has evidence behind it that we can use to come to any kind of conclusion, especially considering the writing that we see in the book matches no known language. So despite centuries of effort to crack this code, one person has tried more modern techniques and has come close at times. And his name is William Friedman. And he famously helped break codes for the Japanese during World War II. And he would turn his attention to the manuscript with unparalleled expertise. And if this guy couldn't solve it at the time, I don't think anybody could. But even with all the expertise this guy had in the world, he couldn't solve what this manuscript was trying to tell us. And linguists, mathematicians, computer scientists now have all tried to use advanced algorithms and AI to search for patterns in the text. Some claim to make minor breakthroughs, such as identifying linguistic rules or statistical structures. No one's come close to uncovering the manuscript's true meaning. Even AI, with its capacity to process millions of permutations, has fallen short. If this manuscript doesn't contain a language that we know or we've ever encountered, it's going to be almost impossible to solve. And that goes on to beg the question. If this is a book meant to convey hidden meaning, then perhaps somewhere out there to this day, there's a Rosetta Stone, so to speak, something that can help act as a cryptographer's key to unlock what this thing is trying to tell us. But the truth is, I don't think so. And I don't think anybody has a clue what this thing is. Nobody knows. And each theory, though it offers a tantalizing possibility, this manuscript truly defies explanations. Perhaps it's a hoax, an enigma with no solution, or maybe it's a genuine attempt to preserve knowledge, its meaning lost in time. Maybe its true purpose is simply to make us wonder. Or maybe it is cursed. Maybe this is a cursed document that causes obsession and the downfall of anybody that comes across it. I don't know. But for hundreds of years, those answers remain and have remained hidden. Now, the manuscript seems to demand obsession. Its pages tease us with the promise of knowledge just beyond our grasp. Cryptographers, linguists, and historians alike have all poured decades into decoding its secrets, only to find themselves haunted by failure. Many report sleepless nights, strained relationships, and careers that have been derailed by their fixation on this book. Why does it exert such a power over those who study it? Perhaps it's the idea that this could be the ultimate puzzle, a challenge that once solved would rewrite history. I'm not 100% sure what this thing is, but it makes me wonder if its intention wasn't exactly that. It was never meant to be solved. It was more of a sadistic prank meant to torture people who came across it. The writer, the author, knowing that they'll never solve it. And if the language is completely made up and has no relation to modern day languages, cryptography and AI are of no help to solve it even in modern times. So no matter what this thing was intended to do, it does seem like the one thing we confirm is it causes obsession. William Friedman, the codebreaker that I mentioned earlier, anytime he would go on to claim breakthroughs, each one would ultimately fall apart under scrutiny. Eventually, it was said that he sacrificed most of his life just trying to solve this. For over 500 years, people have been at this. I wonder if somebody will actually solve this thing one day. And I wonder if it's one of you guys. Seriously, somebody take a look, but don't ruin your life over this. But I get it. It's the allure of the unknowable, and the manuscript's refusal to be solved is part of its curse, and perhaps its greatest power. It reminds us of the limits of human understanding, forcing us to confront the possibility that some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. But for many, that is the appeal. But perhaps the discovery of new technologies, better carbon dating, and more powerful AI will be the answer. Maybe we will solve this thing one day and finally discover what its meaning was meant to be. Maybe somebody out there already knows what this thing means and is keeping the answer secret because we're not supposed to know, or the knowledge is too powerful for all of humanity to see. And that leaves me with one final question, at least for myself, and that is, what if the Voynich Manuscript is meant to be unread? What if it is a type of Pandora's box that once we discover the meaning, it's only going to bring about our downfall? I don't want to know the answer, but man, I'm sure curious, and I want to thank you guys for joining us this week. I'd really appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel and giving this a like. Really helps if you guys share this video with somebody. And other than that, we'll see you around next week. Thank you.